Welcome to Legendary Chats with Legendary Liz. Hey, Legendary Chats with Legendary. Hello, thank you for watching thus far and watching me do my little dance. We are here today, or it's just me because nobody's in my house, to talk about money. I contemplated doing this topic simply because I wanted to focus more on my creative pursuits, although I love talking about money also. But then I realized a huge reason why I want to share this is because a lot of creative people struggle with having enough money or feeling like they can't pursue their creative pursuits because they don't have enough. So that said, the topic of today's video is how I managed to save $100,000 or over, yes, over $100,000 in 2 years. I'm very proud of myself and I still pinch myself like, did I actually do that? But it has created a level of financial security, or rather faith that I can reach a level of financial security for me, and I want to share the good news. So listen to how I did it. Before I get into how I did it, I'm going to share my obligatory article, and I have to ask, so did you read it? The topic of the article, or the title, is 4 strategies for using side hustles to fund retirement savings. I wrote this article for NerdWallet, and it was syndicated onto tons of news platforms, including NASDAQ. Shout out to NASDAQ. You can click the link, the link, inside my description box if you want to read the article. Now let's get into the topic. For those of you who are new here, hell, I'm new here. My name is Elizabeth Ayola, and I am a full-time writer. I write. I have a full-time job as a writer, as a personal finance writer and spokesperson. I also write for a range of publications, freelance. If you Google me, you'll see some of my work out there. Please read and share. But now that we got that out the way, let's get into the topic of today. So before I even get into how I saved $100,000 in 2 years, I want to talk about the why. If you're anything like me, your girl is tired of working, and I would sit and daydream about days where I can wake up and choose what I do with my day, or maybe just choose not to work for a whole month at all, right? And the more that I started doing articles on personal finance, I started out writing about retirement, the more I realized I was really far behind in my retirement savings, and that if I wanted the ability to not have to work, I would need more money, right? I would need to get to a point of financial freedom. So about 2 years ago, I had no savings, maybe $100 and something in a 401k. And I realized, hey, Elizabeth, you are maybe 32 at the time and you ain't got no money, girl. So a kind of panic came over me because I'm like, I want to retire in my late 40s, don't want to retire in my 50s, but if I want to retire in my late 40s, I'm going to need to start saving a lot of money. So that was a starting point for me. That said, the first thing that you need to think about is what your motivation is. You need a SMART goal basically. And like, why are you trying to save a certain amount of money? What is it that you're trying to achieve by saving that amount of money? My primary motivation was early retirement. I want to retire, not wanted to, I want to retire early. And early retirement looks different for everybody. For me, my motivation is I wanted to have freedom over my time. And as a creative, I want more time to explore different creative ventures outside of writing, or even outside of the type of writing that I do. And I feel like one of the only ways that I can really do that in the capacity I want to is by having financial freedom and not having the demands of work every single day. So once I knew what my goal was to retire early, I used what you call a retirement calculator to basically see how far I was away from my goal of retiring at 40 something and how much I needed to fill the gap in terms of how much income I needed to save. And honey, when I tell you I was far away, I was far away. So that put some fire under my booty because I'm like, after I put in the numbers, I realized I needed to save, I think about $2 million in order to retire at the age that I wanted to. And that's just the minimum. $2 million. I know it sounded like a big number at the time, but after being like, oh my God, how am I going to save that much money? I sprung into action. And let me tell you the action I sprung into. Now, once I had this big number of I need to save $2 million, I had to break that down and say, okay, I have tentatively 15 years until I want to retire. So how much do I need to save every year and every month in order to achieve that goal? The good thing about the calculator is I'm not going to achieve this goal by saving cash. I need to invest my money. And the calculator helps you see that if you invest X amount every month, how much are you going to get over the next, 1 or 2 or 3 years? Because what happens when you invest your money is your money compounds. And what compounds means
means is that your money makes money and makes money. It's like a snowball effect, basically. And I believe the rule of thumb is maybe after 5 years, that's when you see the compounding really start to take off, which is why people always say the earlier you start investing, the better, because time is the real cocoa. Sorry, the Nigerian came out of me would be like the cocoa. That means like the real gist, or I don't even know how to explain it. But anyway, what you need is time on your side when you are investing. Once I broke down how much I was going to need each year and each month, now it was time to do the daunting task of looking at how much I'm actually earning now. And I realized in order to save what I needed to save each month, which was a minimum of maybe around $4,000 or $5,000 a month, I was going to need a side hustle. While my job does pay me decently well, it just wasn't enough. It wasn't gonna allow me to save $4,000 or $5,000 a month. So what I did, I was already doing side gigs. Your girl is a side gig queen, so I've always been doing side hustles, primarily article writing or just creating content. I realized I was gonna have to start working on retainer contracts. So instead of doing a $200 article here and there, I was going to need to find clients who wanted to pay me a retainer to deliver X amount of articles or services every single month. And that's when I put on my hustle hat and I started looking for clients. In terms of how I found those clients, I'm actually putting together a workshop on this because a lot of people ask me and I think it could be valuable, but I used a range of strategies. I used cold emailing, my network, leverage my network and just put myself out there and let people know I was looking for work. And honestly, word of mouth helped me a lot because some people just approached me and were like, hey, we need you to create this kind of content. And I also leverage people I already write for. So I let them know I'm open to taking on more work. And then I actually got some retainers from existing publications that I write for. I don't know what your field is, whoever is watching this, but just think about existing skills you already have and how you can leverage. And to be honest, it ain't got to be fancy. If you want to do Uber Eats, if you want to do Instacart, whatever you need to do to save that amount of money, it might seem like stressful because you're using your free time to make money, but you have to sometimes make sacrifices for the financial goals that you want to achieve. Honestly, I work quite a lot. Every weekend I'm writing articles. Some evenings I'm writing articles, but I always remember that there's an end goal I have in mind and I'm saving towards a goal. And by the way, just because I saved $100,000 now, it doesn't mean that I've stopped there. Because as I said earlier in the video, I'm trying to get to 2 million. And while I don't have to save 2 million in cash, the more money I invest now, the more time I have for it to compound and the quicker I'll get to my goal in the next decade when I hope to retire and be a retirement baddie in my 40s, living my best creative life. Anyway, you get the point. The final step, which in my opinion, or for me, was the hardest, is actually putting together a savings strategy. Before I tell you my strategy, I gotta tell you, I'm not an investment advisor. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. This is what I did to save, and it's not gonna work for everybody, which is why I am gonna recommend 2 books that helped me tremendously. The Black Girl's Guide to Financial Freedom, go on Amazon and type it in, was incredible, written by a fellow Black girl. And then the second one is A Simple Path to Wealth, and she actually recommends that book in there. Those 2 books really helped me to get my investing strategies together, as well as, being in personal finance and learn a lot of stuff anyway. So putting together an investing strategy is the biggest part of it because this is how you're really going to grow wealth or grow your money. Now getting into my saving strategy, the first thing I did was beef up my emergency fund. Any financial professional will tell you that you need an emergency fund because if you think that you're putting dollars away for whatever your goal is and an emergency comes around, that emergency is going to humble you, honey. So you want to make sure you have at least 3 to 6 months worth of savings inside of your emergency fund. Once I did that, the next step was the fun part, putting money into investing accounts. I, last year, maxed out my 401k, cheer for the hottie. So that's something that you want to consider doing if you can afford to. Either way, make sure you're getting your employer match if they give you a match because it's free money and why not? After the 401k, the next thing I did was move to the Roth IRA account, which is one that I have, and it allows you to put money inside of your account. And the good thing about Roths is during retirement, you can make your withdrawals tax-free. And me, I like the idea of tax-free withdrawals, so I contribute to a Roth as well. Another account that I contribute to is a health savings account, and I've been contributing to that now this is my second year, I believe. And a health savings account essentially lets you invest money for healthcare expenses now and in the future. And I love these accounts because they have triple tax benefits, because you can deduct sometimes the contributions that you make to the tax account. Your money gets to grow tax-free, and you can make qualified tax withdrawals. So I also have a health savings account, and my goal as well is to max that out. I maxed it out last year. I plan to max it out again this year. That way, as I age, if I have healthcare conditions, hopefully not, I'm able to pay for that because I've set aside money and invested towards that as well. The next account I use, because I am self-employed as well as full-time employed, is a SEP IRA. And what that does is it enables self-employed people or entrepreneurs to also put away money for retirement. You can also deduct the amount from your taxes, which is good because it minimizes, or rather reduces, your taxable income. It should reduce your taxable incomes. That's what a SEP IRA does. And there are other kind of self-employed accounts out there that you can use as well if you decide to take that route. Because remember, this is not financial advice. This is what Elizabeth did. And last but not least, the last vehicle that I use is a regular traditional brokerage account, because if you want to retire early, especially before 59 and a half, you cannot pull money from your 401k or traditional IRA without getting penalized unless it's a special circumstance. So that means you have to plan to have money that you can take out that you're not going to be penalized for. And one of the places that you can do that is in a Roth, but there's a whole bunch of rules and it's complicated, or inside of a traditional brokerage account. I also invest in index funds. I just automate it every month because I'm not into complicated investing. I ain't got time to be picking stocks, to be tracking stocks. Ain't nobody got time for that. So I just automate my investments. I invest in the same boring old things every single month, and I've been watching my money grow. And let me tell you, I is proud of myself. I could have been dropping the dollars like it's hot and spending like crazy. I still sometimes impulse spend, I'm not even gonna hold you. But for the most part, I save a big chunk of my income because I'm adamant about being able to retire early and also giving my money time to compound. Well, there you go, there you have it. That's how I managed to save $100,000 in 2 years. This is 4 fingers, but you know what I'm trying to say, two. So for a quick recap, how I save this money is, first of all, setting a SMART goal and deciding exactly how much I wanted to save, when I wanted to save it by, and what I wanted to save it for. After that, I put together a strategy in terms of how I was gonna save that certain amount every single month. So I had to break the number I had down into months. After doing that, I went to see how I could increase my income so that I could meet that savings goal every month. And then I figured out my investing strategy in terms of what accounts I needed to save into and the best ways that I could also minimize my taxes while saving towards my goal. To all my creative hotties and hots is for the guys. I don't know what we call the guys, but anybody who's watching who also has a financial goal they're trying to reach, or who is like myself, a hopeless creative who wants more time to create, know that financial freedom can give you the space to do that. And I'm not saying you need to wait until your finances are perfect to create or pursue your dreams, but let's just keep it 100. Let's keep it a buck. When you have financial stability, it's a lot easier to think and to create and to kind of have that peace of mind and space to be your best creative self. That's what I feel anyway. So what do you guys think? What are your saving aspirations? Do you have any questions? Let's talk about it. Thank you for watching and rocking with Legendary Chats with Legendary Liz. Hey, Legendary Chats with Legendary. Until next time.